Hey everyone, and welcome to our Back to School edition with Real Talk with the Illinois Science Teachers Association. I, of course, am Dr. Dina. Apologize for a few technical difficulties that we had in recording just the very introductory part, and I'm going to get you caught up with Jason's first answer. Speaking of Jason, he'll be sitting down with us today, our president of ISTA and high school biology teacher. And I, of course, am Dr. Dina, director of assessment and other things at ISTA. So the first question that I decided to ask Jason was, what's on your back to school checklist? And he said one of the things that he likes to get are these little key tags, and he uses them kind of like the popsicle sticks in which kids write their name, and he uses them to, when they're having, discussions, he can pull out a kid's name and have them answer the question. And what I really liked about this idea is it's not the same as the popsicle stick. It's a little bit different, but also you can keep kids engaged because you can keep throwing the tags right back in there. And I'm going to let him take it away with what else is on his list.
And then I get Post-its together because I go through a lot of Post-its because we do the driving question board to introduce each storyline unit that we do. For those of you that don't know, ISTA, we have a working group for biology. We have other working groups too, which we'll highlight later, but we have full curricular replacement for biology now, 6 storylines that fill the school year. And whenever we kick one of those off, we do a driving question board that gets kids asking questions about an introductory anchoring phenomena.
Nice. So I have up here a picture you shared with me of some work that your kiddos have done this week. You're in week 1 of school, right? So
yeah, we just finished week 1. Yep, Monday through Friday.
Awesome. All right, so we have one of these well, 3, it looks like, of these driving question boards that you were talking about. You want to explain these just a little bit?
Sure. So the driving question board, they're just simple foam boards. I've used the same 5 foam boards for the last 3 years. And the kids will, we have a questioning form that actually helps us put together, has the kids assemble questions around a phenomenon that we show them. And then they prioritize them in groups, and then they each put one on a Post-it and they put it on the board. And there's different color Post-its on the board, as you can see, because those are each from a different group, so that we can track where they're from.
Nice. I really like this too because it's compact. So I hear all the time from teachers that want to do some kind of driving question board, but they don't have the wall space. This is just a little foam board that you can, take out during the class and then put it away.
And I just flip them for the next class. Very, very easy.
Nice. Very cool. So I have another picture, again, right getting off the go from, the very first week of school. You want to talk us through this activity just a little bit, again, from the storyline that we talked about, the biology storyline group.
So the phenomenon that we show them is it's called the Battle at Kruger. It's a YouTube video that highlights lions hunting water buffalo. And so we start with a phenomenon that is lions hunting a water buffalo, and the students generate some questions around the NGSS performance expectation LS2-8, which involves organisms living together. And so the data that you see there is students figuring out how to hunt and conserve energy, but also reap that benefit of getting energy from their prey. So you can see that, and that's just a regular student, no AP kids or anything like that. That was just a random kid that I had gotten some pictures from their work. And you can see it's erased because they revised through their collaborative work. But basically pushing them to the idea that, sharing the hunt reduces their cost and increases their benefit.
Yeah. And last but not least, because we are in, the world of performance assessments now, I know that you've talked a little bit. Talk us through this one.
Yeah, and this basically is the performance assessment from that activity, where it's a collaborative student problem-solving activity where they are using kilocalorie cache, as we call them, and they are using that manipulative to illustrate how they can expend less energy and increase their benefit through cooperative hunting. So that's the first performance assessment they do. It's on the 3rd day of school, after they've done the computational thinking practice the day before, figuring out the numbers as far as energy expenditure and benefit.
Excellent. I love seeing kids just get right into science in the first week of school. So oftentimes, and I'm just as guilty from my time in the classroom, we spend that whole first week in the getting to know you activities and all kinds of stuff like
Yeah,
that. So I really see
having
that.
them jump right into it really does get them understanding like this is how it's going to go, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and setting that up from day one is really, really important because you can do all the general first day stuff um, that you normally do within that context.
Mm-hmm. That's so important too, is learning the whys by exposing them to the context.
Hmm.
All right.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right. So, some teachers will have their open house, this week or have already had it. Some teachers don't have one coming up for a while, but is there anything that you do special during your open house to kind of highlight NGSS and get everybody on board?
Yeah, with this fundamental shift that we all should be making towards NGSS, it should be very student driven and student centered, and that's a departure if you're still, if you were still lecturing,
Hmm.
for example, and spoon feeding information. So I emailed the parents actually day one through our technology platform at our school, so that they all hear from me directly that this is a departure, that the kids may just want the answer and may just want to memorize because that's worked for the previous years of their schooling, but that is not how it's going to go.
Hmm.
That they will come home struggling sometimes, they may be frustrated, but they will have a better, more deep, meaningful experience in my classroom. So, I highlight that this is bigger than me, it's bigger than my school and district, that this is a huge collaborative effort across states to implement these NGSS storylines as they were meant to be through the framework. So
Hmm.
getting them to understand that this is how business is going to go, and that this is teachers facilitator is a thing that we need to focus on, so
Yeah.
that their kids can be more independent learners and know how to use the science practices in any context.
Hmm.
That's what I push, and I drive that home at open house as well, and I show them examples of what the students do, which are some of the pictures that you just showed
Hmm.
as well.
Absolutely. Um, I think part of what speaks to that is this whole idea of, again, NGSS is in science is all about figuring out as opposed to knowing. And we have
Yep.
to really allow kids to productively struggle through trying to figure things out as opposed to just giving them the answers. Um,
And I have a whole slide for that in my open house presentation. It says more figuring out, less learning about. That
awesome.
is absolutely critical.
To kind of highlight that, a couple of resources that we should know about if that's something that you want to really talk through with your parents. There's a great STEM teaching tool that's all about productive struggle and why kids need to fail and learn from it. And that's something that I think parents are uncomfortable with, kids are uncomfortable with, and us as teachers are uncomfortable with. Also, that whole idea of, performance assessments, if we're looking at the science and engineering practices as kind of that embedded performance type task. There's a great resource called Science Practices Leadership that I will also put the link up here for you as well.
That's a
Uh,
fantastic resource.
yes, especially
Very
for
good resource, especially for rubrics.
yes, for our teachers that unfortunately are working on their SLOs and trying to figure out how can we, actually look at these science and engineering practices. There's some great resources on there, both for you and for your administrators to kind of highlight why this shift is so necessary.
Mhm.
Any other resources you want to promote, Jason?
Well, the NSTA Resource Center on their website,
Yes.
nsta.org, if teachers are struggling with what a good phenomenon is, and how do I introduce something like this, and even an anchoring phenomenon, things like that, there are great resources on there. The ilscience.org
Hmm.
website, the ISTA website, we do have links to phenomena banks and things like that as well. We also have at ilscience.org/storyline. We have the complete storyline curriculum for biology courses,
Hmm.
which was that was our first basically thrust towards full NGSS implementation. We have some other storylining groups launching. We have a middle school science storylining working group launching on September 8th. You can email either one of us for that information. one of our members, Becky Schumacher, is hosting that in the Frankfort, Illinois area. We also have a physical science for chemistry and physics teachers storylining working group that was launched in the spring and is just getting started. And one of our members, Sherry Roops, is actually running that. And I think they typically meet in the Libertyville, Illinois area. You can email us for her contact information if you're interested in joining one of those as well. The biology one is still meeting every other Monday afternoon / evening, I guess you could say. This coming semester, you can email me directly, jason@drcreen.com, and I can add you to the email list if you're interested in that.
Awesome. One last thing that I wanted to promote, since we are talking about back to school, our ISTA conference is coming up. Make sure that you register for that. The annual conference is going to be October 19th and 20th.
Yeah, so my father passed away earlier this year to join my mother, who had passed away a couple of years ago, and we decided to set up a memorial fund. They were always good about supporting teachers, like my brother and I, who are both teachers. So we want to pay that forward. So we have funding that we're going to use in their memorial fund to sponsor teachers in need who normally would not be able to come to our conference. The grant will cover your registration and your substitute teacher stipend. The information is linked on our main page, the Ron and Charlene Korean Memorial Fund, on ilscience.org. So check that out. The criteria is there for you to apply for the grant. It's not a difficult process to apply. We tried to keep it as simple and straightforward. It's just to express the need for you to attend if you wouldn't normally be able to attend. And the Tinley Park Conference is always enormous. So you definitely do not want to miss that. We will have highly focused workshops on storylining as well that you really don't want to miss.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Jason. And thank you,
Dr. Dina.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll let you get back to your back to school festivities, and we'll be coming at you soon with some more Real Talk episodes. All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye, everybody.